I had been drifting through life for the last few years, barely holding on. Every day felt like I was just trying to survive, not really living. My once promising future had crumbled around me, leaving me with nothing but the wreckage of a failed marriage, a failed career, and the constant gnawing worry about where my next meal would come from. I was 35, but I felt decades older. The life I had once envisioned for myself, successful, secure, with a family by my side, had slipped through my fingers. And what was left? A man with no direction, no sense of purpose. I used to be someone. I had a tech startup that I believed in with all my heart. My wife, Emily, and I lived in a sleek apartment in the city, and I thought I was on the verge of something big, the kind of success everyone dreams of. But I was wrong. In the blink of an eye, everything changed. My company crashed, and with it, my life. Bad decisions, bad investments, and a global recession brought everything down in flames. I could still remember the day the bank took my keys and locked the doors to the office. It felt like I was watching someone else's life fall apart. I tried to rebuild, but it was too late. There was no bouncing back from that. With the business gone, I lost not just my livelihood, but also the trust of the people around me. Friends faded away, unable to bear the weight of my failure. Emily, devastated by the loss, couldn't stay. She left, taking the last piece of my life that had mattered: our home, our plans. She moved back to her parents' house, taking our young son Caleb with her. I didn't blame her. I didn't have anything left to offer. The sadness of losing everything settled deep within me, and I didn't know how to climb out of it. The downward spiral was fast. I had to sell my car to cover some debts, and what little savings I had disappeared quickly. With nowhere else to go, I ended up in my old sedan. It was just me, the empty car, and the loneliness that kept creeping in. I parked in quiet parking lots at night, drifting from place to place, just trying to make it through another day. I showered at truck stops, ate whatever I could scrounge up from convenience stores, and spent my nights thinking about how my life had gone so wrong. My clothes were always wrinkled, my beard grew scraggly, and I couldn't escape the feeling that I had become invisible. People looked past me, as if I didn't even exist. I could feel the weight of their judgment in every glance, and it only pushed me further into myself. I became a shadow, a reminder to everyone else of how quickly everything could fall apart. The hardest part was not knowing who I was anymore. I had once been full of ambition, hope, and dreams. Now, I was just a man trying to survive. Every day felt the same empty streets, the same lonely nights. But everything was about to change, although I didn't know it yet. It was late afternoon when the request came in. I'd been driving around for hours that day, barely scraping together enough for a meal. My old Toyota Corolla had seen better days: stains on the seats, a cracked windshield, and a long list of repairs that I couldn't afford. The sun was dipping low on the horizon, and I was exhausted, both physically and emotionally. I'd hoped to make enough for a night in a cheap motel, but I was doubtful. The passenger requests had been sparse all day, and I was beginning to think about calling it quits for the night. That's when I saw the pickup request: a ride from the Marriott downtown. I hesitated for a second. It was an upscale hotel, one I used to frequent when life was better. I groaned, already knowing I probably didn't look the part of a driver for a luxury hotel. My faded car, wrinkled clothes, and unkempt appearance were a far cry from the polished image of the hotel's clientele. But it was a ride, and I needed the fare, so I accepted. I pulled up to the valet stand, parked my car next to a shiny Mercedes, and tried not to feel out of place. The contrast between the luxury cars and my beat-up Corolla was undeniable. As I waited, a man stepped out of the lobby, dressed in a sharp suit, carrying a leather briefcase. He exuded confidence, a stark contrast to the ragged man behind the wheel of the taxi. He climbed into the back seat, and I adjusted the rearview mirror, catching a glimpse of his face. The moment our eyes met, he froze. His expression shifted to one of shock, and I could almost feel the weight of his gaze. "You okay?" I asked, trying to mask the weariness in my voice. He didn't answer immediately. His eyes remained fixed on me, a mix of disbelief and confusion etched across his face. After what felt like an eternity, he leaned forward, his voice barely above a whisper. Do you have a brother?" I stared at him through the rearview mirror, unsure how to respond. "What?" I know this sounds strange, he continued, his voice quivering, but you look exactly like my brother. You're not him, are you? I felt a flicker of unease. I'm not sure I follow. My name's Noah, by the way. Noah, he muttered to himself, his gaze still fixed on me. That's strange. My brother disappeared 5 years ago. He was 32 when he vanished. A chill ran down my spine. 5 years? I swallowed hard, trying to steady my breath. 5 years? I don't have any family left. Not that I remember, anyway. He sat back, clearly stunned. You don't remember? What's your last name, Noah? I hesitated, feeling exposed. I don't know. I've been trying to remember. I had a life before all this, but I lost it. My memories, everything's gone. He stared at me for a long time, processing what I'd said. Then his face softened, as if something clicked in his mind. You look like him. You're the spitting image of my brother Noah. His name was Evan, and I lost him 5 years ago in a car accident. The words hung in the air, and I felt a weight settle in my chest. I didn't know how to process it, but something in me stirred, a strange connection, like a spark of recognition that I couldn't explain. He wanted to take a DNA test, he insisted, to find out if I was truly Evan. But I wasn't sure if I could handle it. This was too much. I hadn't even started to figure out who I was, and now someone was telling me I might be someone else, someone I didn't even remember being. But as I pulled up to the hotel, I couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, there was a chance I wasn't as lost as I'd thought. A week passed before I heard from James again. To be honest, I wasn't sure how I felt about the whole thing. The DNA test had seemed like such a wild idea, and part of me wanted to dismiss it entirely. After all, I was just trying to survive, to keep my head above water, not dwell on some distant possibility of a past I couldn't even remember. But something about the way James spoke, the sincerity in his voice, made me hesitate. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was teetering on the edge of something life-changing. Then one afternoon, I received a call. The results were in. I felt my heart race as I listened to James explain. The results confirmed it. I was Evan, his long-lost brother, the man I had been for the past year, struggling to piece together a life from nothing, was someone entirely different, someone with a name, a family, and a past I had forgotten. James was thrilled, of course, and I could hear the relief in his voice. But I felt overwhelmed. How was I supposed to process this? For so long, I had been Noah, just a man with no memory, no connection to anyone or anything. Now suddenly I was Evan, a man with a brother, a family who had been searching for him for 5 years. It felt like I was living in someone else's story, and I wasn't sure I belonged. But James didn't give me a chance to retreat into myself. He insisted on meeting up, said he'd been making arrangements for me, and wanted to help me get back on my feet. You don't have to do this alone, he said, his voice firm but caring. I've got your back, Evan. We'll figure this out. So I met him at the cafe, not far from where I'd been living in the car. He was there before me, waiting with an almost palpable energy, like he had been carrying the weight of the past 5 years, and now, finally, he could put it down. Are you okay? He asked as soon as I sat down, his eyes searching mine as though trying to find some sign that I wasn't too shaken by the truth. I didn't know what to say. How could I be okay? But instead of trying to find the right words, I just nodded, swallowing the lump in my throat. I'm not sure what to feel. It's like everything I thought I knew about myself just changed. James smiled gently, his face full of understanding. I get it. I really do. But listen, Evan, whether you remember it or not, you've got a family. We've been looking for you for so long, and we never gave up hope. You're not just some random guy I picked up on the street. You're my brother, and that's something we're going to figure out together. I felt a warmth spread through me, a glimmer of hope in the cold emptiness I'd been carrying for so long. Maybe I wasn't as lost as I thought. Maybe, just maybe, I could have a future after all. James helped me find a small apartment. Nothing fancy, but it was mine. He covered a few initial expenses, and he insisted on paying for the first month's rent, even though I protested. It was hard to accept. After all, I had never asked for charity, but he wouldn't let me turn him down. We're family now, he reminded me, and for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't alone. I still didn't know who I was, not really, but for the first time in a long time, I felt like I had a chance to figure it out. It wasn't going to be easy, and there were still so many gaps in my memory, but James was right. Maybe I could rebuild. Maybe I wasn't too broken to be put back together. That night, as I lay in bed in my new apartment, the silence felt different. Not empty, but full of possibility. And as I drifted off to sleep, I couldn't help but think that this, whatever it was just the beginning of something new. Something I hadn't dared to dream about for a long time. It's been a few months now, and I've started to find my footing. The initial shock of everything, the DNA test, the truth about my past, has started to wear off, but the changes keep coming. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm on the right path, even if it's still a bit unclear where that path is going. James has been a steady presence in my life, showing up without question, offering help without expecting anything in return. I can't help but feel a bit of guilt sometimes, accepting his generosity. He's helped me find a new place to live, helped me set up my life again in a way that feels more like starting fresh than simply existing. He checks in on me regularly, asking if I'm adjusting, if I need anything. At first, I kept telling him I was fine, not wanting to seem like I was taking advantage. But James wouldn't hear it. "You've been through a lot. We've both been through a lot," he'd say, as if I had somehow forgotten that I wasn't carrying this burden alone. The apartment is small, but it's mine, and that's a huge step forward. I've got a bed that doesn't require me to fold myself in half to sleep, and a kitchen where I can actually cook food without wondering if I'll have enough for the next meal. It's strange, having all these things I took for granted once. At first, I didn't know how to fill the space. I kept it minimal, not wanting to accumulate things that would just end up being another reminder of how much I had lost. But slowly, I've begun to decorate. A few pictures on the walls, a small plant I've managed not to kill, and a couch that I actually sit on instead of just lying down in bed. Small comforts, but they've made a world of difference. I've enrolled in community college to start working toward a degree in counseling. At first, it felt like a stretch. I didn't feel qualified for anything, let alone something as important as helping others. But as I began the coursework, I started realizing that this was something I wanted, not just for the future, but for myself. Maybe the only way I could truly rebuild was by helping others do the same. I've started meeting people who are struggling with their own issues, their own battles, and for the first time in a long time, I don't feel so alone. Everyone has their own scars, their own stories, and somehow talking to them makes mine feel a little less heavy. But it's not all smooth sailing. I've had moments where I've wondered if I'm making the right decisions, if I'm really ready to face my past. My memories are still fragmented. There are flashes, pieces of my life before everything fell apart, but they're blurry. Faces I can't place, places I've been but can't remember. Sometimes I feel like I'm living someone else's life, like I'm an imposter in my own story. And then I think about Caleb, my son. I haven't seen him in months, not since the divorce. I still can't bring myself to face Emily to try and explain how I've changed, how I've found something new in myself. I'm not sure how to bridge that gap, but I know I have to. James tells me to take it one step at a time, and that's what I'm trying to do. One step, one day, at a time. And with every little victory, getting through a class, paying a bill, cooking a meal, I'm starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, I can rebuild my life. It's not perfect. It's messy and uncertain and still full of unanswered questions. But it's mine. And that's a start. It's strange, the way time passes when you're finally trying to live again, instead of just getting through each day. It's been a few more months since I started school, and while the routine is still new to me, it's starting to feel like something I can rely on. I've settled into my apartment more, found a rhythm, and slowly, I've stopped feeling like I'm faking it, like I'm pretending to be someone else who has it all figured out. Now, when I look in the mirror, I see myself, just me, the man I'm becoming. The classes have been a challenge. At times, I feel completely out of my depth, like I'm trying to catch up to everyone else. My classmates are younger, more confident, some even working in the field already. But I've realized that their journey doesn't have to be mine. I'm not starting from scratch. I'm starting from the place where I've been for so long. Uncertain, a bit broken, but willing to rebuild. I take it one assignment at a time, one test at a time, And as I push through the fear of not measuring up, I remind myself that I'm not in this race to compete with anyone but myself. James has been my anchor through all of this. His faith in me hasn't wavered, even when I've doubted myself. He still checks in every week, sometimes just to chat, sometimes to offer advice, or to remind me that it's okay not to have all the answers. He's become more than just a brother I've rediscovered. He's the family I didn't know I needed. His own life is still moving forward too. He's busy with his job, his friends, but he's always made time for me, never making me feel like a burden. He often says I'm the reason he hasn't felt complete for years. It's humbling, knowing I've given someone that sense of closure, that missing piece they'd been carrying all along. I still haven't contacted Emily. I think about her often, about Caleb. I wonder if they think about me too. It's been hard to find the courage to reach out. I'm scared of how she'll see me now. The man I was, the man I am, feels so far apart. I know I've changed, but I'm afraid she won't see it. I'm afraid she'll see the same old me, the one who failed her, the one who wasn't there when she needed him most. But I can't keep running from it. Not forever. Sometimes in quiet moments, I imagine what it would be like to be a father again. To be there for Caleb in the way I should have been. I don't know how to fix the past, but I know I can't let it keep controlling me. James told me once, "You can't change where you've been, Evan, but you can make where you're going something better." That's what I'm trying to do. And so I keep moving forward. Slowly. One step, one decision, one day at a time. I still have so much to figure out, so many questions left unanswered. But for the first time in years, I have hope. Hope that I can rebuild my relationships. Hope that I can be the man I once wanted to be. Maybe I'm not there yet, but I'm closer than I've ever been. And that's enough for now. A lot has happened in the last few months. I feel like I've lived an entire lifetime since I first met James, since I first found out who I really was. There's been a shift in me, one I can't quite explain, but it's as if I'm learning to breathe again, to exist in a way I hadn't known was possible before. I still have my moments of doubt, of course. The past lingers, and sometimes I still question if I truly deserve this second chance. But I've come to realize that I don't have to have it all figured out. I just need to keep moving forward, even when the way ahead seems unclear. School has been tough, but I'm managing. I'm getting better at balancing the coursework, even though it feels like I'm constantly playing catch-up. I think back to the person I was, ambitious, confident, driven, and it feels so distant. But that person is still there. Maybe he's a little broken, a little more cautious, but I can still see him in the way I approach my studies, in the way I'm trying to rebuild my future, step by step. I'm not who I was before, but I'm learning to embrace the person I am now. James is still my rock, always there with a listening ear or an encouraging word. He's been busy with his work and his own life, but he still finds time to check in, to ask how I'm doing, and to remind me that he's proud of the progress I've made. He never expected anything in return, just a brother who had been lost and is now finding his way back. He's become family in every sense of the word, and I owe so much to him, his belief in me, his support, his patience. But there's still a gap. The same one that's been there since I woke up in that hospital bed, with no memory of who I was. I still don't know what to do about Emily. I haven't spoken to her since I left, since everything fell apart. I still think about Caleb all the time, wondering how he's doing, how he's growing up. I haven't seen him in months, and the ache of missing him is constant. I want to be there for him, to be the father he deserves, but I'm terrified of how she'll react. I know she's moved on with her life, and I'm not sure if I have a place in it anymore. I've written her letters, ones I'll never send, apologizing for the mistakes I made, for not being the man I should have been. I want to tell her that I'm different now, that I'm trying. I'm trying to be better, not just for myself, but for Caleb too. But every time I start a letter, I stop. I'm not sure I can put everything I feel into words. One evening, James and I were sitting on the porch of my apartment, sipping on coffee, talking about everything and nothing. He said something that stuck with me. "You're not defined by what you've done, Evan. You're defined by what you choose to do next." It wasn't anything groundbreaking, but it hit me like a ton of bricks. It's easy to get trapped in the past, to let the mistakes I've made weigh me down. But I don't have to keep carrying that burden. What matters now is what I choose to do with the time I have left. And I'm choosing to keep moving forward. I'm not sure what the future holds, but for the first time, I'm okay with that. I'm taking it one day at a time, trusting that the pieces will fall into place, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find a way back to Caleb, to the life I lost. But for now, I'm learning to live in the present, and that feels like enough. It's been a few more months since I had that conversation with James on the porch, and something inside me has shifted again. I've started to realize that the process of rebuilding isn't linear, that there's no clear path to follow. There are good days and bad days, moments of clarity and moments of doubt, but I've learned not to expect perfection. The truth is, I don't have all the answers, and I probably never will. But I'm learning to live with the uncertainty, to accept it as part of the journey. And that feels like a huge step forward. The counseling program is starting to feel like something I'm meant to do. At first, it was just a vague idea, something I thought might help me rebuild my life, but now it's becoming more than that. It's not just about the degree or the career anymore. It's about finding purpose in a way that feels meaningful. When I'm in class, learning about human behavior, mental health, and coping mechanisms, it feels like I'm finally doing something that aligns with my experiences, my struggles. I've been through so much, and if I can help even one person who's going through something similar, it'll make all the difference. I still don't have the confidence I used to have, but I'm starting to feel like I belong in this space, like I'm building something that matters. James is still there, still offering me support, but he's given me more space lately. I think he knows I need it. I've been spending more time focusing on myself, on the work I need to do, and I've had moments where I feel like I'm finally understanding who I am now. Not the person I used to be, not the person I was in the past, but who I'm becoming. Sometimes I think about my old self, the guy who was so sure of his future, who thought he had it all figured out, and I can't help but feel a little sad for him. I used to believe that everything had to be perfect, that I had to be perfect. But I've learned that perfection isn't the goal. It's about being real, about accepting the flaws and scars, about growing through the pain. I still haven't reached out to Emily. I've thought about it countless times, but there's always something that stops me. The guilt, the fear of rejection, the fear that she won't believe I've really changed. But I know I can't avoid it forever. I have to face it. I have to face her, face the possibility of rebuilding the relationship with Caleb, even if it feels like a daunting task. I don't expect things to be the same, but I do believe it's possible to find a new kind of connection. The idea of seeing Caleb again, of being a part of his life, fills me with both hope and fear. But one thing I know for sure is that I have to try. I can't let the past hold me back any longer. Life still feels uncertain at times, but I'm learning to embrace it. I'm not waiting for everything to be perfect or for all the pieces to fall into place. I'm taking it day by day, choosing to believe that even with the mistakes I've made, I can still build something meaningful. The past is part of me, but it doesn't define me. What matters now is what I do with the future. And for the first time in a long time, I'm ready to see where it takes me. The days seem to blend together now in a way that feels both comforting and strange. It's been a year since I met James and found out who I really was. A year since everything started to shift, since the foundation of my life began to rebuild, piece by piece. There are still moments where I feel lost, still times when the weight of my past feels heavier than I can carry, but more often than not, I'm beginning to understand that those moments don't define me. They're just part of the journey. The counseling program is going well, and I'm finding myself more and more excited about the work I want to do. It's not just about earning a degree anymore. It's about using what I've been through to help others, to be the kind of person who can offer support and understanding. I'm learning so much, not just about the theory and practice of counseling, but about myself. Every lecture, every assignment brings me closer to understanding how to take the pieces of my past, the mistakes, the regrets, and turn them into something positive. It's a process. I still don't have everything figured out, but I'm starting to feel like I'm on the right path. The right path for me, not for the person I thought I was supposed to be. James and I talk regularly, but it's different now. It's no longer just him holding me up, helping me find my way. Now, it feels like we're sharing the journey together. He's still been an incredible support, there's no denying that. But he also respects my space more, giving me room to make decisions on my own. I think he's proud of the progress I've made, and maybe, just maybe, I'm starting to feel proud of myself too. I've started to understand that I'm not defined by what I've lost. I'm defined by what I choose to do with the life I have left. And I'm choosing to make it something worth living for. The hardest part still is reaching out to Emily. I haven't contacted her since everything fell apart, and though I've tried to avoid thinking about it, the guilt always creeps back in. I know I need to. For Caleb, for myself, I can't keep running from that responsibility. I still don't know how to explain everything to her. How do I show her that I'm not the same person I was? That the man I was before, the one who failed her, who couldn't provide, who couldn't hold his family together, is gone? I don't even know if she'll want to hear it, but I have to try. I owe it to Caleb, to Emily, to myself. I've started making small changes. I've written letters to them, ones I haven't sent, not yet, but I feel like I'm getting closer to being ready. It's strange how much weight a few words on paper can carry. It's terrifying, but I know it's the only way forward. The thought of seeing Caleb again, of being part of his life, fills me with hope, but it also terrifies me. What if I'm too late? What if he doesn't remember me? What if I've already lost my chance? But I can't dwell on the what-ifs anymore. I've spent too many years doing that, so I'm taking it step by step. I'm going to reach out, I'm going to rebuild. And whether or not they accept me, I know that I'm not the same man I was. I've learned to forgive myself for my mistakes. That's the first step. The rest will come, in time. And for the first time in a long time, I'm starting to believe that the future is something I can shape, something worth fighting for. Life isn't about avoiding failure. It's about how we rise after falling. Everyone faces setbacks, and it's easy to feel lost or stuck, but the key is persistence. Embrace change, even when it's scary, and be patient with yourself as you rebuild. Don't let your past define you. Use it as fuel to move forward. Reach out to others, accept help when you need it, and remember that second chances are real. The journey may not be perfect, but with each small step, you're moving toward a future where you can create meaning, find peace, and rediscover hope.